Welcome back, guys. Haven't pulled with this car in a few weeks. Been busy. School's been a lot of stuff going on at school. But my garage is kind of getting packed up. This is a golf cart that I fixed up, several years ago. Matter of fact, about 5 years ago when I originally started on it. And there was a problem with it. It's back over here. I'm doing a little bit of repair work on it. But needless to say, my shop's jammed up, so I got to get this thing out of here. I went to light my furnace for the first time this year. It's getting cold around here, and it didn't light, so that's another thing I got to do today. And but meanwhile, my goal today is to get these new door locks put in. I got a, or I don't, but the owner of the car, I got a whole new lock cylinder set here. So we're going to check these out. And it looks like it has everything I need. We're going to find out: ignition key, 2 door keys. Make sure these things work here. Yep. All right. Let's figure out what we need to do to get these in. Okay. You guys remember when I put this handle in here? You remember that I had to make that latch rod, or there was no linkage? Well, I've got to do the same thing. You see that little black button there? I've got to make a rod that goes up to, that is the whoops, there we go. That hole is where this goes. And I've got to make some linkage to hook those together. So no need to bore you with how I do that. I'll show you when I get that figured out. Okay, luckily the right hand side of this car still had this arm and this rod inside the door. That arm right there is that. And now I'm just going to mirror this for the driver's side. The clip that's in this thing, hopefully that focuses. I'm trying to hold still. Anyway, that a lot of times the rod will come through and bend up, you know what I mean, to lock itself in. It's one style. This is another style. The rod will go through that, and that little arm there will lock over top. Does that make sense? Let me try and hold it better. Okay, that's not what this setup is. So what I'm going to try and do is take that rod that I'm going to make and kind of carve it into that little, see that little groove? I don't know if you can really tell. There is a groove. Let's see if that'll focus. Yeah, there's a groove in there. So I'm going to try and mimic that, and I've got to do it on both ends. This side is the same way, and that's what locks it into that clip. So wish me luck. I'll show you when I get done. Okay, I'll share stuff with you people here. Here's my first attempt. Looks really good, actually. Remember, it's supposed to look like that, and that's super close to that. Problem is, this is just a fraction smaller, or bigger, excuse me. This is a fraction smaller than this. So what happens is, I'm trying not to make you dizzy here with this. That thing is supposed to lock into that, and it does. But you can see the slop in there. Now, there is some resistance. I mean, it does snap in, but I'm afraid once the door's all together, if it got beaten and banging, it might come out. But there's something to be said for somebody like me that doesn't throw anything away that I can think would be useful. If any of you have ever replaced like a lock actuator or something like that in a car, and you get one from like not knocking them, but like Dorman, or you know, like an auto parts store that's not an OEM part, they'll send you several different rods, and basically what these are is kind of these. And I have saved these over the years. I've got, you know, all kinds, and I just save them because you never know. This one here is actually a door lock. But anyway, so I think one of these is gonna be closer to the right size. So we're gonna try this again and try and get my grooves cut in one of these. So I'll come back to you when I get that done. Okay. I had to break down and cut my OEM piece of rod that I had from my stash. And here's where we're at now. Looks pretty good. I've got to turn this down just a little bit more. This is just slightly thicker than this one. I just cleaned this up with a wire brush. I don't have a lathe, so I've been chalking it up in my drill and then just taking a little bit of 180 grit sandpaper until I get it down. Because right now, the problem is, I mean, it would work right now. It would work, but it's going to be too tight, and then it's going to be hard to turn the key. It needs to be able to kind of spin freely when it's in there. Either this little bushing clip needs to be able to spin, which it does now, or this needs to be able to spin inside of it. So I'm going to turn this down a little bit now and we'll see what happens. Okay, here's what I've come up with. They both look pretty good, but I'm not happy with either one of them because I'm afraid that this one's slightly too small. And it's not going to lock in there. So I made one out of an actual lock rod, and it goes in there and it locks, but I'm afraid it's going to be too tight. You can't tell how much pressure I'm putting on that, but it doesn't want to turn very easy. And I'm afraid it's going to be a problem. So what I've come up with, like I said, this lock arm is off of this old lock cylinder that was in the car. It's no good at all. I mean, this is for the passenger side. I'm just using it for testing purposes only. Here is the new lock cylinder and the new arm. What I'm going to be able to do is, I'm going to take one of these new school type of arms. And what this does is, let me grab it. This is going to go in here. Not this rod that I got right now. And then I'll bend to 90. Oops, I'm sorry. Then I'll bend to 90 into it. And then that little strap will snap over top of it. You know, this is going to go, you know, in there. I'll show you how that's going to work when I get it together. Like I said, I've wasted enough time, made a mess out of my workbench and everything else. So we're going to try that. Okay. That's what we've got. That's just going to work just perfect. It can't come out. It moves, got plenty of, but it can't come out. Now all I got to do is come up with one of these for the latch down inside the door. Okay. Found one. So now I just got to cut the rod to the right length, put it in that hole, and then I'll snap that over top of it. Okay, here's what we got. Now let me try and hook it up and see if it works. I had to add a couple little tweaks to it. I put that little bend in there and that little one down there. We're gonna try that, see how this works. Well, seems to work pretty good. The reason it's not locking all the way is because the door's not shut. If you trip the latch, it'll lock all the way. But there we go. Nothing like spending 2 hours on one little thing that if I have to do another one, it'll take me 10-15 minutes to find the parts and I'll be done. But oh well. Thanks for watching. Well, it was a successful Saturday. I spent longer than I wanted to on it, but I got both lock cylinders in. I hadn't put this handle in the other day when I did the other side, but I got the door opening and shutting good. This door dropped really bad. I've adjusted it. The problem was the stripe was put on here and the door wasn't shutting right. So you got to deal with what you got to deal with. But now it's that's more than acceptable. So now we're going to move on to I think putting some weather strips in there. I hope you've enjoyed hanging out as we try and resurrect this old car.